Uh, it's really good to see you all, and I'm sure there are a lot of elders here, and you know the situation inside Tibet. In 2015, October 21st, me and my sister Tenzin Doma, we wore Tibetan chupa, really clean Tibetan chupa and raised a portrait of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and we shouted, His Holiness, long live His Holiness the Dalai Lama, that His Holiness the Dalai Lama return to Tibet, and that His Eminence give their mercy to return to Tibet. Now within 10 minutes, 5 or 6 police personnel from the same county came to get us. They arrested us. They started taking away our pictures, throwing down our clothes, and kept arresting and took us to the detention center. And while we are taking to the detention center, it took us 30 minutes to get there, and they were beating us, using sticks to hit us, and the sticks falling on our body, making sounds really noisy. And what that?
Any 전정시장 그 capture date capture date. 아니 고소인서가 아주 좋은 값은 할려인서 그 남졌다. 머게
They took us to the detention center and they asked us who you are connected to, what organization you are working for, and kept asking our phone contacts and those people who are connected. And me and my sister, we wore similar clothes from top to bottom. We had the same chupa, and when they saw that, they said we must be talking about this action already. Yeah, and you have a role plan about this. So they started interrogating us and telling us who you are connected to, and started discriminating us. And they say you are connected to this one, the Dalai clique, what Chinese usually call. And they say who is the organizer or the organization you are connected with. And the interrogators keep asking to provide the names and the organization. After 1 hour at the detention center, some of the police personnel came and they covered our head and took us to the bigger detention center in Aba County. And at the bigger detention center, Akado gave them a really bad expression. And the leader or the county level detention center personnel came to slap us and kick us. At 10 p.m. that night, we were taken to the another location called Bartown. In Chinese is called Markan Shen, and they took us to the detention center there. So the handcuff was strictly tightened on our hands, so it makes your hands really painful. So at the detention center, they took us to a separate room and kept interrogating us and kept asking questions, and also raising the temperature to 150 and making our body too unbearable to the heat. And the interrogators will come in and ask whether you feel hot or not, and when we answer yes, they will raise the temperature. And in that way, our body is not able to bear the heat, and our bodies are sweating, and those sweat are going into our shoes and make our feet sticky in your shoes. And they all also asked us to sleep on their heater, and it will burn our body, and we can't bear the heat. So the interrogators keep coming back and keep asking question who you are related to, what organization you are connected to. And when you are falling asleep, they will wake you up and say, you are not allowed to sleep, and demand names or the organization. And they say the crime that you committed is really urgent and really heavy, that you will end up in jail and prison. And do you know about it? So for 6 days and nights, the interrogators kept coming back and asking questions, and they would take videos from all those interrogations. When the leader of that detention center was watching all these videos, and they were actually insisting the interrogators ask questions again and trying to change your mind. And they try to get words from your mouth and trying to change your mindset, and kind of allowing us to change your mind and say that the portrait that we are carrying is not the portrait of His Holiness Dalai Lama. But I told them, yes, the portrait of His Holiness, and I was even describing the structure of the photo. And the interrogators keep asking questions and trying to get names and organization names from us, even though there is none. And they keep saying, sometimes they will say nicely, and if we provide the names, they will let us go from the detention center. So we were taken to two different locations. One in Dishon, in Chinese it's called Lixian, and the other county is called Trishizong. In Chinese it's called Aishishan. For these two locations, we were detained for 1 year and a month, and they kept coming back and interrogating and kept asking questions and asking whether you feel happy in the detention center or not. So at the detention center for that 1 year, 1 year and 1 month, the interrogators will keep coming back and asking questions to us, and they try to change your mind, and sometimes they will try to get you go nuts, go crazy, make your mental status unstable. For instance, regular detainees are allowed to stay in 12 person together, but me and my sister were put into soldier confinement and kept nobody close to us. The soldier confinement that I was put in was a high ceiling, and there's only a small window that I can see outside. What I can see is only the military personnel can go back and forth, and sunrise and sunset. That's the only thing I can see, and because of the sun, I can tell whether I can get over lunch or dinner. So interrogators keep coming back and asking us questions and try to change our mind. And they're asking us, if you say regret, they will try to ease the punishment. And they say that His Holiness, though you have the faith and believe in His Holiness and did all this, but His Holiness, the Dalai Lama is not able to help you at this moment. When they say the Dalai Lama left you, and the Dalai Lama is not able to give you clothes or even single dime to you, and he's not helpful to you. And the interrogators keep saying that China, as a country, is giving everything. Why you are not grateful for receiving all the goodness? And then I answer that those things that I received from our ancestors and our family, not you. And I told them, like, you guys surveillance, putting us under surveillance for the whole time. His Holiness is also watching us all, and you should know that. So at the detention center, it's really cold in with the quality of the prison. Detention center, it's really cold there. Sometimes when it comes to a point that we are not able to feel our toes, And when that happens, we'll usually get a little bit hot water, and we will use that hot water to put on our toes, and that way we can fill the toes back. We are forced to wake up at 6 a.m. in the morning. And there's nothing we can check out in the detention center, not a single letter of Tibetan. So in the morning, the food that we get is a congee, and it's watery, just pure rice and. So every Sunday we are able to get meat to eat, but the meat that we get is pork with the furs in it, pork skin with the furs in it. Sometimes what we get is the leftover of the guards, and the food quality is really bad. On 2016, October 22nd, they assigned Chief Corporal and the lawyers to come to visit us at the detention center. And they said, if you say regret what you did, they will release you, and or they will reduce the punishment they will give us. And they asked us if you want to change your crime case into murder case, burglary case, or a certain narcotics, that way can reduce the sentence. So on October 23rd, the next day, is supposed to be the trial day at the court. I woke up early, prayed for His Holiness the Dalai Lama and His Eminence Kitten Butchi and the deities that I believe in. After that, the military personnel came in with guns and handcuffed us and took us to the court. So at the court, when we arrived at the court, they interrogated us again separately. After that, the judge asked again whether we raised the portrait of His Holiness and raised the slogans of Long Live His Holiness the Dalai Lama, that His Holiness Dalai Lama changed it to that, and all those questions, and we said yes to that. You know, when they say, are you regret about what you did? And we answered no. At that moment, we received 3 years of sentence. Leaving the court, we were actually singing, and one of the guards asked us whether 3 years is not enough for you to change your mind. And we said no. When we arrived at the court, they interrogated us again separately. After that, the judge asked again whether we raised the portrait of His Holiness and raised the slogans of Long Live His Holiness the Dalai Lama, that His Holiness Dalai Lama changed it to that, and all those questions, and we said yes to that. Your case of crime, you are not given the right by the Chinese authority. So then we were taken to the biggest female prison in Sichuan province. That prison has 11 facilities, and we were taken to facility number 9, where we supposed to get military training. So regularly, the Chinese prisoners in that prison are given military training only for 2 months, but the Tibetans discriminated and given 3 months to 4 months of military training. And at the training, they kept making us to memorize Chinese constitution and the regulations in the prison. For instance, articles like 48, Article 38, Article 20, all those Batung Wufu sort of regulations, we need to keep memorizing it. So the Tibetan prisoners in the prison are heavily discriminated. We were assigned to Chinese prisoners to watch us 24/7. Even at the moment that we had to go to use the restroom, we were being surveilled by the assigned 2 prisoners. We were never given the chance to talk to each other. So after that, and facility number 9, we were taken to different facilities. My sister was put into facility number 7 facility, and I was put into facility number 6. And those facilities are meant to be a labor camp, and we had to do a lot of labors. So at the labor camp, we had to work like a robot, and for those projects that we are making, we need to finish up to 500 to 600 pieces uh, that made us our body not to able to move around, and sometimes our hips are actually, because of the heavy labor, our hips are having bruises when we are making these products. So one of the things we need to make is roll copper wires, and they will put two lighters in front of your eyes, not giving any protective goggles or glasses, so it will harm your eyes. The amount of the rolling copper wires that we make is too much. That will make your thumbs or fingers crooked. So when you are not able to make the requirements products, amount of products, then they will just terminate you again and not let you sleep until 1 a.m., 2 a.m. and keep letting you to memorize these regulations and constitutions. In one of the point system or the money that's the person is supposed to get, we are not giving that right to retain it. And when we get sick, or in terms of if we need medication, they will come and say, you have such a pride for your country and Tibet, and I think you are able to bear the pain from sickness. So one time I was passed out in the prison, and they took us to a medication room. But in terms of medication that we received, instead of curing the pain that we have, it is actually making our body worse and more painful. After 1 year and 3 or 4 months, my dad got the chance to come to visit me at the prison. When we were speaking in Tibetan, the guards came to cut us off and kept telling us that you guys are not allowed to speak in Tibetan. You should speak Chinese, and cut us off right there. The Chinese prisoners within the prison are given the privilege to call their family, write letters to their family monthly, but the Tibetan prisoners in the prison are not given any chance or simple chance to do that. So in the prison, all the prisoners are given a status or degree, and it looks like most of the Chinese prisoners are given second degree, third degree, fourth degree, and in a way they have a point system or money system they can receive from the prison. But the Tibetans were given the status given to the Tibetan prisoners first degree status, and they have been discriminating all those Tibetan prisoners and taking away that privilege and not giving that money that they're supposed to get. And the Tibetan prisoners are only given 80% of what they're supposed to get, and the quality of things that we can get in prison is the worst of worst. So in prison, 300 to 400 women had to take shower together, and the sanitary condition is really bad. Sometimes it's really smelly, and in terms of physical hygiene, it's really bad. Regular Chinese prisoners and general Chinese prisoners are allowed to spend their last 2 months in facility number 11. Facility number 11 is supposed to be a facility that you can relax and in a better environment for the last 2 months in the prison. But the Tibetans are not given that right to spend time at that facility. On 2018, October 21st, supposed to be our release day. Instead of releasing from prison, the county level and the village level police department from our hometown came to get us, and they interrogated us again at the detention center. And after releasing from the prison, they detained us for 1 week and kept giving us guidance on follow the rules. And the county village leader and my dad's parents were forced to come to sign a contract paper, which basically says that if I do anything, that my parents and the village leader will be punished or taken to jail, and they have to sign it and fingerprint it. And they say you are not allowed to meet any former political prisoners that you know of, and you are not allowed to throw any sort of parties at your house, and you are not allowed to leave the boundary from your village. So although your body is outside of the prison, but you're mentally, it seems like you're still in prison. Your freedom of mobility is taken away, freedom of faith, freedom of thought is taken away. We are not allowed to retain any sort of pictures or portrait or any content of that related to His Holiness into our phone. And monthly, I have to report back to the police station at the local level, and they keep giving us call and making sure that we are not jailed. And they will keep holding meetings at the village and keep telling that our parents that nobody is allowed to do anything that is connected to political issue, and if they do, they will punish heavily, and in that kind of sense, they will threaten us all the time, and that makes me sad all the time. So finally, in 2023, in May, I was able to come to Freenet. So when we are in Tibet, we always feel if we get the chance to see His Holiness and get blessed from His Holiness, it will be even better. We can even pay the price by our life. So I kept thinking that Chinese authorities keep giving us, making all those faith that we had and belief system that we had into crimes that is unjust. And I thought there's some way or platforms in outside, like United Nations, that I can raise this issue and raise this voice. So, talking from my point of view, I was sentenced for 3 years, but then through my sentence in prison, I realized that there are a lot of monks or individuals from my hometown, was arrested because of just celebrating His Holiness' 80th birthday. Some of them were sentenced for 15 years, 14 years, 8 years, and 7 years. So I'm just one example of many. There are many more that I actually know by myself, and I'm sure there are more Tibetans who are suffering, who are in prison, that we don't know. So I believe there are countless Tibetans who are still suffering in Tibet. So the self-emulators, they have spent their life for Tibet. I believe there are self-emulators from all three regions of Tibet. But talking about self-emulation, I know that self-emulators who were actually wasn't able to killed by the Chinese authority, but was put into jail. After releasing from jail, they are still taking away their right to mobility, and they are not allowed to leave their home. In a sense, it's almost like a home arrest for them. But in spirit, in belief, they still stay firmly to believe in His Holiness the Dalai Lama and for the Tibetan religion, Buddhist religion. This is something that is unspeakably strong that I am not able to elaborate. Although we are outside living happily, but there are many Tibetans who are still suffering inside Tibet. They are tortured by the Chinese authority. They are put into hunger by the Chinese authority, and all these pains and sufferings they did it for Tibet. They did it for the goodness of Tibetan people. So there are thousands of Tibetans who are suffering inside Tibet from all three regions of Tibet. And I think it's really important for us to know that they sacrifice for us, they're sacrificing their life for us. And in diaspora, we should be united together and work together. If the Tibetans who are inside Tibet, if they hear the small issues within our community, how sad they will be. So I think we should know all these things. So the last word of the self-emulators, before they are passing away, they will ask us to stay together and stay in unity. And I should say, like, this is something we all should think and hold dear-heartedly. So these heroes are sacrificing their lives for Tibet. They do have family, they do have relatives and friends, but they choose to sacrifice their life for Tibet. So unity is what the Tibetans who are inside Tibet and the political prisoners inside Tibet was always calling and asking us to do. We should know that all the sufferings that are happening inside Tibet, and especially the Chinese authorities is taking Tibetan religion and culture less than an animal. So the Chinese authorities is destroying monastery and private schools that we can learn Tibetans. What they doing is they putting Tibetan children into boarding schools, and every level intention is trying to censorize Tibetan children and kill or eradicate Tibetan identity. So there are a lot of Tibetans who are forced to speak for making their Tibetan beautiful. In a way, the Chinese authorities is putting this strong propaganda by using some of the Tibetans. But these Tibetans are forced to say this, but we know that deep within, none of these beautiful things that China is speaking about is reality. So the Chinese authorities is not letting us to retain the portrait of His Holiness Dalai Lama, His Eminence Samdana Rinpoche, and all the great lamas that we have. Instead, what they trying to do is let us to put the portrait of Xi Jinping and Li Keqiang, like these Chinese authority leaders. When sometimes the local authorities will suddenly come to your house, and when they find out that you are holding a portrait of His Holiness Dalai Lama, then you will end up in prison. So the private schools that we are unable to attend with, the Chinese authority will send spies into the institution, and sometimes the authority will come suddenly to search the facility, and they will take away any forms of science that are related to Tibetan Buddhism, for instance, the praying beads that you have, or some strings that you get blessed from High Lamas. All those things will be taken away. Especially those who are outside and has the ability to study in a free world, I think you should advocate for Tibet and raise the issue of Tibet. And I know that you have the potential and the ability to raise this issue on international platforms. So for the elders, I request that you raise your children at home with speaking Tibetan. I know that it's really hard when you are living in an environment that you have to speak other language to survive, but then when we think about the situation inside Tibet, that Tibetans are not given the chance to study Tibetan and they are criticized. But then we are living in a free country, and I request you all to put Tibetan first and put other language second. Taking account of today, we need a translator to speak to the Tibetans. So this kind of situations, when we think about it, it's really sad. So I request you all to teach your children Tibetan language and let them preserve Tibetan culture. So when our family members or our friends are meeting together, especially the Tibetans, we have to speak in Tibetan to each other. If we don't speak Tibetan to each other, then nobody else will speak Tibetan. So no matter where we go into other countries, our bones, blood, everything is made by Tibetan identity. There's no way we can change the fact that we are Tibetans. Especially for the youth, Tibetan young souls out there, please preserve Tibetan identity, learn your language, please. So the youth out there, I'm requesting you to learn Tibetan. You are the future seeds of Tibet, and you will be the leaders of future Tibet. Well, if one day we have the luxury to have all the Tibetans who are living inside Tibet and all the diaspora Tibetans have the privilege to gather together, then when we are not able to speak Tibetan to them, that will be a really sad situation. It is good that you know other languages, but it's really important that you should know our mother tongue. Thank you so much.
That's definitely true. That was in my. I was kidding. So that I saw no, you know, that's like a shit. I took a shit, and the do like interesting like data. Was there a particular moment or event that made you decide to protest?
So since 2008, there have been bloodshed by the Service Authority, and they killed a lot of Tibetans and imprisoned a lot of Tibetans. And there are a lot of self-immolations happened since 2009, like David, like some of my brother, Lobsan, they actually self-immolated. So, for instance, my cousin brother Lobsan, for instance, in the case of my brother Lobsan Gaso, he self-immolated himself, and he was imprisoned after a self-immolation, and his dad was able to capture some of the videos from it, and his leg was cut in 3 times in jail. So at the jail, so the interrogators kept discriminating these self-immolators when they had that bruise. It shouldn't be a bruise, but the burnt skins from fire, and the interrogators actually using stick to digging into the skin and keep saying that since you have faith into Tibetan freedom movement and for his holiness, then you're able to bear these pains, and they keep torturing in that way. So my brother, individual, he was 16 at the time when he protested with the torture of his holiness. He was sentenced for 4 years, and another cousin brother, he was also in prison for 4 years. So 2015, I saw a video. One of the Tibetan in Gyeong, he self-immolated, and he actually got a knife with him, and they actually used fire extinguisher to turn down the fire. But he used that knife and opened his stomach, and he started breaking out his intestines and say, "Long live His Holiness the Dalai Lama." And I saw those type of videos, and it is making me such feeling that I'm not able to bear the pain.
다 통화대가 기존나 시에 아등에 저지의 비위시에 저디 등강도 전전나와 개거 겨워지 그러다 켄도 연면나 직체 한 기세 대사 개거 겨이 농주도 기세디 개거 겨네 페페라 펜토이나 아니 란스만의 민법대로 그 시로시스 아니 기세야 다음에 전전나나 가시 केबो ज्ञाना पहला न्यूगर है केबो क्या है हमारे सुंगे हाजिर या कैसे केबो ज्ञाना या पूरे बेगी कांगे ना जो फैन तो करे ते रहने क्या की उनजो करे ना किसी फैन तो करे ना ना सानी माको चिपे दो कुछ तो शेरा लास्ट ये तिसरा
다도 단단 그 제책 제행스 가서 판도 요래 가서 실록인스 그 시기도 말자면 나올가인스 그 장가 요 말아 가서 시기 묵스르인스 그 줄로가 요는 오빠소인스 그 시기 리와 침보비잖아요 어려운 오빠네 요래 가서 노노니네 지미 감보즈 잡고 따따따 잡는 거 손으로 손칸 아딘다 로르 나도 두든 지가이 춤딱 잡고 요래 또 가서 실록인스 그 감보자 자치 또 드라미 또 당시 가서 독작 찍드는데 탑소에 저도 시기 같이 보더리 띠인데 가서 원는 그 딤타다 사주 시기 같이 보더리 어떤 시기 판도 요거 삼고
알아서 또 성장이 뒤집혀 버려. 아니 대구나서 이제 꿀에 막 쉬어요래. 아니 내가 딱가면 야시라 손나서 안디 직 갸랍다 데메 루큐란 와. 직 데라 직 소소 칼라오래 맞으이나 칸삼삼다 칸티디 인디시에 메데삼발라 카제 운에 장대 여백이 루큐직 마시에 오데삼발라 아니 직 운에 시데삼발레 운에 칼레 요래 셀라 운에 용소 다미나 소지 요고래 안디 달레 운에 산네라 페바데라 라게 믹세게 인타관에 투체나 슈기
그